My friends, this is how you do combat in Fantasy Grounds. So first I'm going to share a battle map with you. It's probably going to pop up way too large and out of proportion. The way that you fix that is by left clicking anywhere on the map, dragging it down so you can see the top left corner, holding down Control, left clicking, and dragging. That will allow you to change the size of the window. Then once you're able to see this arrow with a box around it, you press that to lock the map down to the background and designate it as a map. So now when you try to drag it around, you're not able to do so. To pan across the map, you hold down on the mouse scroll button and drag, and that will let you pan across the map. To zoom in and out, use the mouse scroll button. So you scroll up to zoom in and scroll down to zoom out. All right. And then there's also one other simple tool to do a quick measurement anywhere on the map. You hold down left click, hold down right click, and then drag. And this will give you a quick measurement tool. You can grab the base to change the start location, and then drag the end of the arrow to move it around. Alright, with that, going into combat. So I recommend using the combat tracker, which you get from the cross swords button in the top left corner. This will bring up, and will probably pop up somewhere else. You can just drag it over. I recommend putting it over your text bar. This will give you the name of all of the enemies that you're facing, their initiative order, and then a summary of their health, as well as show you more detailed information about you and your allies. It also says what effects anybody is currently facing. So then, first thing you're going to want to do is roll for initiative. To bring up your character sheet, either click on your portrait or double click on your token. There are different tabs. You're going to start with the main tab. Drag and drop your initiative over to the chat to roll for initiative, and it will automatically place you in the right spot in the initiative order. Alright, so now we see that Ragnar is up first, Spider, some enemies, and then Sequoias. So we're actually going to go out of order though. We're going to start with the Spider. To select your character, you want to left click. You'll see this dark box around him. This means that your character is now selected. To target an enemy, you hold down on Control and then left click whatever enemy you're targeting. And you will see, if you want to double check, you can see it here, but then you'll also see a white line showing the distance between you and your enemy. I'm going to double click to bring up the character sheet, go to Actions to attack, and we'll start with a short bow. So you can either double click to roll, or you can drag and drop into the chat. Alright, so that's a hit, and now I'm going to drag and drop the damage to roll damage against it. So you can see now that we've attacked, its health is automatically dropped down, and we also can see which one is wounded in the combat tracker. So to untarget the enemy, you're going to hold down Control and left click. That removes your selection, and you can target as many enemies as you want and untarget them. So let's say that Spider's now going to take a shot at the Cadaver Collector. So exactly the same thing as before. Another hit. Then we're going to roll for damage. And we see that we rolled 10 damage. However, only no damage at all was done to the Cadaver Collector. That's because in the character sheet there's automatically a it lists their vulnerabilities, their resistances, and their immunities. In this case, the Cadaver Collector is immune to non-magical damage, therefore no damage was done. And that's also it's gonna take that into account even when there are multiple damage types going against multiple enemies. So it can be really quick and useful, especially for AoE effects um, against enemies with resistances. Also, if we're going to, let's go back. So if there are different modifiers that we're taking into account, for example, maybe for some reason you just have a random +7 modifier that's going to be added to the roll, you just left click over here, type in whatever number the modifier is going to be. It can be negative as well. And then go back to your character sheet and make your roll. So you'll see that now that bonus was 16 instead of 9. So it added the +7 on top of the +9. So for things like attacking with advantage or disadvantage, so for example here we are attacking, let's say, with advantage. So I clicked on the advantage button down in the bottom. The green die indicates advantage. Let's say we're doing disadvantage, same thing. Red die indicates disadvantage. Also, if there is, for example, if this piercer was behind cover, we could automatically add the -5 to this attack roll to indicate cover. So now you'll see instead of the bonus of +9, it was only a +4. So it subtracted the cover. There's also a faster or a different way to do that optionally. If you click the +- button over here, you'll bring up the modifiers. It has modifiers for attack and damage. So for example, if this creature is behind cover, you could click the cover button, make your attack roll, and instead of 9, it was dropped down to 7. That also works for damage. So you could automatically say that you're doing a critical strike. So the green die indicates an additional critical die. You can automatically do maximum damage. So you automatically rolled a 6 for your damage. And we can see now that we have killed the piercer, its status has been changed to dying. It has the unconscious icon and a gray indicator. And you can also half your damage. Alright, so now we are going to look at spells. So stepping up with Ragnar now. So this is the main tab of your character sheet. If we go to actions, it will show your spells. Pretty sure that Ragnar has more than just cantrips. So the reason that we only see this is because we're in the combat mode. We're going to want to go to preparation mode. This will show you all of your spells, and you can choose which spells are going to show up in your combat mode. So we've prepared these spells by checking the boxes. And by the way, you should always have actions on so that you can see what effect it's going to have. So now when we go to combat, we are only showing our prepared spells. If there are additional effects showing up and you want to get rid of them to kind of clean up your character sheet, you just click on the magnifying glasses to just show the spell. And then if you want the actual text of the spell, you click on the link and it will bring up the original text of the spell that's in the source book. There are also, it's also easy to keep track of the slots by checking these boxes. And with that, let's do an example of magic. So it's very similar. Here we're going to cast Magic Missile. So we're automatically going to do an attack roll. Oh wow, okay. So I misunderstood. I thought you had to actually roll to hit. Bad example. Firebolt. So we're going to drag and drop the the icon to make an attack with Firebolt. It will add your spell bonus. It hits, and you can drag and drop the damage. And as always, that will automatically be applied to the health of the creature that you're attacking. So that is a simple spell attack. Let's spice things up a little bit. Let's say that you're going to go do Area of Effect. This is not part of the actual process, but it's something that's useful for Area of Effect. So if you right-click on the map, go to Pointers, and you can draw different templates. So you have a starting point, you drag it out to the right size, and then you grab the center point and can place it wherever you want. So we're going to place it here, then we can remove the pointer so we know that we're targeting everybody with Fireball. So Ragnar is going to target all of them, again by holding down Control-click. I'm going to open up the character sheet, and here we have Fireball. So this right here, if you hover your mouse over it, it's going to give you a summary of what this action is going to do when it comes to automation. So you're going to make all of these enemies roll a dexterity saving throw. Actually, I don't think you can drag and drop. All right, cool. And it gives a breakdown of who has succeeded and who has failed. Fantasy Grounds will automatically apply half damage to those who have succeeded. And if this were a spell where they would take no damage if they succeeded, it would automatically untarget them. So now we're going to roll for damage and watch their HP drop. So it looks like these were probably the ones that succeeded. The rest have been killed, and you'll see that some take full damage at 37 and some take half damage at 18. This is also summarized in the combat tracker. We also have buffs. So we're going to untarget all of these guys. Ragnar is going to target himself now, so you can target yourself. And we're just going to double check. We are only targeting ourselves. Double click, and we're going to cast Mage Armor. You can hold it over, and you just see the Fantasy Grounds style of summary. So this is just, boom, adding 3 AC to Ragnar. And that's going to be automatically applied whenever an enemy attacks you. It will automatically increase your armor by 3. Just as a quick note, it won't increase your actual AC. It just is like an additional effect that's calculated. You'll also see that there was a status indicator that popped up. So it's nice having these little status icons. And then if you want more information, you just hover your mouse over them and it will say what the status actually is. It will also say the status in the combat tracker. So here you can see effects, AC plus 3. And then there's also a time limit on those. Obviously not for Mage Armor, since it lasts a super long time. But if you have something that only lasts 1 round, or something that only lasts 1 minute, that will automatically be kept track of as you progress through the rounds of combat. All right, let's move on to Sequoias. So, first, Sequoias is just going to be a jerk. And he's going to just start wailing on Ragnar. That's not what a good friend would do. But you know what? Sequoias has a dark side. Alright. So as you can see, you don't actually need to follow the real combat structure. Like this is very versatile. So you need to actually like be paying attention and not just assume that you can do things that it will only let you do things on your turn or do things the right way. You are free to make plenty of mistakes, as I have certainly experienced DMing. So now we're going to do some healing. So we can, for example, target Ragnar, target ourselves, target our ally. You can target whoever you want to. You could target an enemy too if you want to. And cast Mass Cure Wounds. And you will see that the Piercer is back to life. Ragnar's HP is bumped up. That's healing for you. I would also like to show you how to do saves. So now we're going to target this Piercer, and notice that as it popped back to life, unconscious was automatically removed from it. We're going to try to hold this Piercer. So if you go to hold person, again, you could read the description. And you also have, if you click the magnifying glass, you can have a more detailed breakdown, but you should be fine with just the action tabs. So we're going to make it do a wisdom save. It has failed, so now we can apply the effect paralyzed. So now that Piercer, you will see, has the effect paralyzed. And what the C means is that it's a concentration spell. So now Sequifius, now Fantasy Grounds knows that this Piercer is paralyzed because our cleric is concentrating on that spell. So what happens, let me go to the Dungeon Master side, when the Cadaver Collector attacks Sequifius? That's a miss, but we'll pretend it's a hit. Ouch. So Sequifius automatically, the cleric automatically makes a concentration check. Oh my gosh, it actually calculated in Warcaster. That's cool. And unfortunately, he fails. Therefore, he is no longer concentrating, and that effect has automatically been removed from the Piercer. So his hold person is now inactive. Oh, but I wanted to show you something else. Oops. So we're going to just paralyze it again. Hold person. Paralyzed. Alright, so this Piercer is now paralyzed. Now let's say that Sequifius makes a normal attack against it with a melee attack with a mace. You'll see that it automatically knows that that the cleric should be making an attack with advantage because the creature is paralyzed. So you don't, when it comes to status indicators, you don't need to click the buttons yourself. When it comes to status indicators, you can just do a normal attack and it will apply those bonuses. And then a few last minor things. If you were going to use a spell like Wildshape, honestly, at this point, this is mostly just me loving on Fantasy Grounds so hard. So let's say you want to turn into a water elemental. On the DM side, I just added a water elemental to the combat tracker. I've set it as friendly. It's now on the screen. This water elemental is now you. You can double click it, open it up, see the character sheet. So this water elemental, you are now playing as it. So you can target, you can read the character sheet, and you can do the automatic attacks. Oh wait, why are we doing that? Let's whelm it. So saving throw, bludgeoning damage, boom. So you now in effect are playing as the water elemental. You automatically have access to all the sheets and the full automation, and that was pretty fast. Yes. So let's go back to Spider. He didn't get enough love. So let's say there's some things that you use a lot and you don't want to always have your character sheet open. So for example, you could if you are casting Rave Enfeeblement like all the time, you can drag this die roll over into your quick bar and the effect over into your quick bar. And then now, so we have Spider selected. Now, without even the character sheet open, we can just cast Ray of Enfeeblement against whoever he's targeting, and then automatically apply the effect. And that's for any die roll. So it could be like a custom die roll if you just want to have some whatevers, and you want that, you can just drag and drop that over at any time. It also applies to your skills. So to make a skill roll, you just drag and drop, and it will add your skill. So let's say that you're making perception checks, well, I guess for him, stealth checks like all the time. There, you have stealth right here. All you have to do is click or drag and drop. And then the last cool thing that I wanted to show you. So here I closed the map. But if there's no map and you want access to your character sheet, you just click your portrait or click yourself on the combat tracker. So let's say that you are trying to see if someone is lying. So here we're going to do an insight check. And I say that I want you to drop it into the dice tower. You drag and drop it over into this dice tower right here. You do not know the effect. You don't know the success of your roll. So this prevents metagaming, because now I can say, you think that this person is telling the truth, but you don't know whether or not you did a good job of reading them or a bad job of reading them, or crit failed and they're lying and you are about to die. And with that, thank you, my friends. I look forward to it.